that lo-fi action. You know what time it is. Yo, what's up, gamers? My name is Dr. Ryan Terrell, PsychSensei, and welcome to Reading with Ryan. If you want to learn more about me and what I do, visit my website, psychsensei.com. There you can find everything from my YouTube, my Discord, my TikToks, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my Twitter. Everything can be found there on psychsensei.com. But today's article, I'm really interested in it. It's about ELO Hell, and I want to see if there's any psychological principles behind it. And I don't know if you've been in ELO Hell. I've definitely been in ELO Hell. But maybe it's because I'm supposed to be there and that's where I belong. But we shall see. We shall see. Without any further ado, let's jump into it, shall we? This one is called The Psychology of Esports Players' ELO Hell. Motivated Bias in League of Legends and its impact on players' overestimation of skill. I'm gonna do my best by Aschenbach, Kaser, Del Castro, Husler, Opwis, and Bruhalman. I hope that's how you pronounced your name. I believe this article was written 2023. So we're doing pretty good. Oh, is this a laser pointer? Oh, that's so cool. Okay, you can literally follow the bouncy ball with me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just highlight. I've been highlighting. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. If you want to sound really smart when you have an idea, you're like, I've heard of this folk theory before, and then just say like tilt or like something. If you want to sound really smart, folk theories, that's everything you think now, which is a casual explanation. So I guess everything on top of TikTok could be considered a folk theory. Honestly, I'll be using these terms from now on, like, oh, that's a folk theory. Mental models, okay. So I guess growth mindset would be a folk theory, but it's not a folk theory because I guess growth mindset's actually based on like science, so maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. I kind of like this definition. Honestly, it's just like everybody kind of like shared knowledge now as a folk theory. I kind of like this definition. Honestly, it's just like everybody kind of like shared knowledge now as a folk theory. A common folk theory present in specific team esports, such as Valorant, Overwatch, and League of Legends, is the idea of ELO Hell. It's a real place. It's a real place. That's not a theory. That's real. That's real. I've been there. I've been there. It's not fun. As such, ELO Hell describes a situation in which a player has been ranked among other players with lower skill, maybe unfairly so. I like how they threw this in here for copium. I like how they even threw this in here. Like, you can tell maybe that this person who wrote this was a gamer. Because, like, I mean, it wasn't fair. It's not fair. It's funny because they're running about this. The concept further encompasses the belief that because a player has been ranked so low, the teammates playing with them and belonging to this rank are such poor performers that the unfairly ranked player cannot win a game. Oh, if only my teammates were better. At the same time, I mean, true. The thought there is like, if you were actually that good, you should be able to carry your teammates. Is the opposite of that thought. Like, oh, I'm here and I'm stuck here because I can't win and everyone's holding me back. But I mean, the converse of that thought is I'm gonna carry everybody out of here. Jump in my backpack. Let's go. We contextualize ELO Hell in current esports literature and aim to find an explanation following psychological theories. Okay, so they're trying to legitimize, it sounds like, or find roots in actual psychology. This is the purpose, right? They're actually trying to operationally define what ELO Hell is, legitimize it in the literature, and then attach it to any psychological theories, I guess, based on science currently. This perception of unfairness by players in regard to ranking has previously been identified as a source of toxicity in esports. Fair. You guys don't belong here. You guys shouldn't deserve to climb, so I'm gonna grief you. Toxic, bro. It's funny because like toxicity's here and then you get more specific in the type of toxicity you want to be. Like, are you trolling? Are you griefing? Are you inting? Are you just saying toxic shit? Hey, there's levels to the toxicity game. Big umbrella. Big umbrella. Thus, it has become a topic of interest to many researchers given the potential negative outcomes of such behavior. You don't say. And how commonly people in online competitive games experience toxicity all the time. I would say about 90% of the time. That's like 9 out of 10 dentists, right? That's like pretty... There's a social theory right there. 9 out of 10 dentists can agree. There's always that one. Cannot agree. Dentist recommended. 9 out of 10. I wonder what the other dentist is like. Bro, nah. Gingivitis is key. You need the good bacteria in your mouth. That's probably that one dentist, right? Cavities are caused by the sun. Players describe how they experience strong negative emotions when they perceive themselves as much better than their opponents, but still lose because of their teammates. Perception. That's so interesting. I'm going to write that down on the side, right? Like, this is the word we're looking for right here. Perceive. It's your perception, and your perception is your reality. So, already your perception may have some values inside of it, may have some judgments inside of it, and so if you perceive something, then you judge the situation. I should There's a shoulds, right? I should be better, or I should be somewhere else, and then that dictates the experience of what it could be. I use my open for experience and see how this thing goes. Because I'm open to experience, there's no judgment. I can just play the game in front of me versus the shoulds of how I should be playing, or the level of play, or what should be happening on the map, and then it doesn't happen, thus tilt and toxicity. So, already, perception. This is the key. How in a team competitive setting, it seems straightforward to blame a poorly performing teammate for the loss of a team. Honestly, yeah, I mean, this concept right here, this explains the entire, like, not entire, but I would say the majority of team changes. And what I mean by that is, like, when someone is not performing as well, may that be a player or a coach, sometimes it's not very effective, but very common in esports. What happen is that they'll swap out that player. That player is not performing to the level, he's not a culture fit, they're not doing the things they're supposed to, and they'll swap it. And then they'll get a new player, and then you have the honeymoon phase again, and everything's great, but then more problems come because instead of actually working on the problems and trying to actually have a system or structure to address it, mediate it, they think just swapping it and then having that honeymoon phase is the energy or the thing that a team needs to perform, but then you've just created this cyclical pattern of not goodness. I'm thinking about like your relationship, maybe a toxic relationship with a partner. For example, like you meet them and everything's great at first. You go through this honeymoon stage and they show you like the potential that they have or how amazing they are, how nice and how great and whatever they are, right? But then you fight. And it's terrible. You may say really mean things. They may say really mean things. And like, instead of like that high of how amazing they are, they show you that low, how like bad they could be. But here's the thing. You remember that how, oh, maybe it's going to get better tomorrow. I remember they have the capacity to be really nice. They really care about me. But then like, you're always hoping they go back to that person. And maybe there's like, I don't know, makeup canoodling. If you know what I mean, you know, so you have that canoodle session and everything is great and you have that, you're all made up and then you see that potential again and then a couple weeks pass and it goes down the dumps again and you're like fighting and scrapping and then you go on this like roller coaster, right? So, I mean, it's the same concept just in esports. And oftentimes the makeup canoodling does not solve the problem, although it feels like it, you know what I mean? But really what the makeup canoodling does, it just maybe kicks the can down the road or maybe masks some of the problems in the relationship versus actually fixing them. But I mean, makeup canoodling is great. And maybe this is a question for you. You know, when you get toxic, why do you get toxic? Oftentimes, it's because your goals are getting impeded, and then because you're salty that your goals are getting impeded, or your perception was altered, or it's supposed to be something else, but then it's not, and then because of your expectations, you get toxic. I mean, those are probably the two most common. I mean, the other one probably is because you're tired. I mean, you're probably tired, and because you're tired, you get toxic because you're just grouchy. Blaming is also really important. And why I think blame is really important is because it also shows you someone's locus of control, in my opinion. Locus of control is like, is it internal or external? Internal locus of control typically means that people believe that they themselves are in control or have a lot of influence over a certain situation themselves or whatever. Where external locus of control means people place a lot of control outside of themselves. For example, the weather. That's outside my locus of control. I cannot control if it's going to be sunny tomorrow or if it's going to rain tomorrow or whatever. So that's external. That's outside my locus of control. Using this as your own self-study. When you think of blame, where do you put that blame and that sense of responsibility? Are you putting it on yourself? Are you putting it on others? Or maybe not others, but outside of yourself? And here's the thing. It's a spectrum, right? It's not 100%. I'm always in control because I mean, life, you're not 100% in control, even though sometimes we'd like to feel so. But at the same time, we're not 100% out of control, just at the whims of things outside of ourselves. So, for example, going back to the rain thing, although I may not control the weather, and if it's going to rain tomorrow, I can control, maybe, or influence, am I going to get wet? So if I know that's going to rain outside, there's things I can do. I don't have to go outside, first and foremost. Secondly, I can bring an umbrella, I can wear rain boots, I can just decide, hey, it's Oregon, baby, and that's what you do. You just put on your little raincoat, make your little scrunch your face, and you go out. However you want to control that situation, again, you may not be able to control the rain, but you can maybe influence how wet you get from it. So it's that spectrum of control. Some people do blame others, some people do have a sense of control, and it is this spectrum. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It's like a sliding scale percentage. Is ELO Hell a problem? Maybe ELO Hell itself is not a problem, the theory, but perhaps ELO Hell in the sense of like experiencing said hell. You know what I mean? Because I'm not sure if you are ever not going to be in ELO Hell, because you've labeled it in your mind and that's a theory you've created, or the mental model of what's happening in this experience, but maybe it's the actual experience of going through said hell. It appears that higher skilled players giving advice to lower skilled players generally believe the game system to be fair in such a way that if you play enough games, you eventually reach the ranking you belong to. And because I said that earlier in the stream, does that mean that I'm, in my mind, high elo? See, my mind is high elo, but my fingers, bro. My fingers may not be high elo. That's my problem. That's my problem. I'm looking at the strategies players use to hit Challenger multiple times. I bet you're going to find a lot of learning strategies. I bet you're going to find a lot of learning strategies. I bet you're going to find a lot of self-regulation strategies, stress management strategies. Honestly, I think it's a lot of learning, because if you can create a system of learning and you're a challenger in something, you can create that same system of learning to climb in something else. That's why I think coaches who are able to coach at a high level in different games, for example, I know a coach that was able to coach Valorant, Fortnite, and League of Legends at a high level. It's because they've actually learned a system to pick out certain cues and behaviors and then interpret what that cue and behavior means and then teach someone how to recognize that and then what to do. So that's what I'm thinking. It's about learning. It's about learning. And maybe you might find some cognitive flexibility stuff. I bet you. That's my hypothesis. But if you do, shout me out, baby. You can write PsychSensei. You PsychSensei /2023. Is that how you cite a Twitch stream, bro? I think that we say ELO Hell, it's the experience or feeling that you belong not here. The feeling or perception that you belong somewhere higher and that something else is holding you back that may or may not be you. I think that we say ELO Hell, it's the experience or feeling that you belong not here. The feeling or perception that you belong somewhere higher and that something else is holding you back that may or may not be you. This folk theory of ELO Hell could result from what has come to be known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Ugh, me love me some Dunning-Kruger effect. This psychological phenomenon describes that lower skilled performers tend to overestimate their skill, while higher skilled performers tend to estimate their skills more accurately. I really think that paradox is really interesting, where at first you think that, oh, I know everything, but the smarter and more experienced you get in something, the more you know nothing, or the more that you understand that you know nothing. For example, maybe sometimes comedians, I think, reach that mental clarity. For example, like Robin Williams, rest in peace, or even Jim Carrey. Like when Jim Carrey was having his like mental breakdowns when he was like doing weird interviews or has his big feed or gone to art, people thought, oh, he's going crazy. At the same time, I think at a certain point, you realize that all this stuff is meaningless in life. Like all the things that people get stuck in their own heads or worry about doesn't mean anything. But I guess that's when you're playing that three-dimensional chess, reach that upper echelon of oversight or insight in your game. You think, for example, maybe when you first start playing your game, you think, oh, this thing is OP, this thing is broken, because it's just too strong. They just buffed the crap out of this thing. It's too good. But really, as you continue to learn and more in your game, you understand why it's broken, why it's OP, what situations it's OP, because every champion at some point is viable in the right circumstances. But you have to find those circumstances, understand why it's broken and why it's OP, and then you can understand why you won or lost that game in that sense versus, oh, the other team was just better. By understanding, having more knowledge, you can actually see the nuances in the game besides just thinking, oh, this thing is strong, this thing is weak. Lower skilled players could simply be overestimating their skill, leading them to find alternative reasons for their failure to achieve. These reasons, which are constructed not to reflect reality accurately, but for other motives, such as motivated reasoning. The theory here that people would use in the gaming community, you know what motivated reasoning is called? Copium. This is the gamer speak of motivated reasoning. What would they call it? The folklore theory copium. That's what motivated reasoning is called. The research on toxicity, Turkey et al. Also identified that players believe toxicity to be more commonly associated with lower skill. That's false, bro. I mean, I think sometimes also, though, with the more knowledge and experience you have, you then begin to have a stronger perspective of how the game should be played or what the correct way to play is. And because you can start noticing that people are playing incorrectly, nay say illegally, and that thing doesn't happen, you might get more tilted because this thought is, oh my gosh, how is this player doing these illegal, stupid, nonsensical moves, but they're still beating me about it, and that's tilting. Or, oh my god, it's so dumb and it's working. It's tilted. So, I wouldn't say that this is true. That players believe toxicity to be more commonly associated with lower skill. Because sometimes if you have more skill and more knowledge, you get more tilted that it's not happening how it's supposed to be happening. But I can understand that lower skilled players tilt more. That makes sense too. At the same time, for me, my perspective as a lower skilled player, everything is awesome. I don't know why I'm winning. I'm just killing people, or I'm running around the map getting killed. That's bullshit. I mean, it's all fun. It's all fun to me, at least. That's my perspective of the thing. But y'all can have your own perspectives. So you need to care about it, because I mean, like, if you don't care about something, nothing's gonna have a positive nor negative result. It's gonna be neutral. So if you want to have an attribution towards something, it has to be a value. Thus, you care. And if you care, then you will put a positive or negative spin on whatever happened, because it's either helping you to do the thing you want or impeding you from doing the thing you want. We're just talking about perception, and it's going to be different for each person, because each person's perception is going to be different, because their perception is based on their value system, which makes up their reality. So this is a very individual thing. So it's going to be really hard to like say this one or two things, because I believe it's a lot of things, but we're just going for the experience and research, right? We're just trying to look for these words and stuff. Therefore, we can assume that players who describe having lost their motivation have simultaneously lost the perceived value of their behavior's goals. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't have any motivation to do this thing. It has no value to me. Whatever. Again, this supports my claim that the opposite of love is not hate. Instead, the opposite of love is apathy. Because if you hate something, you're putting a negative spin on that experience. Think about something that you hate or don't want to hang out with, don't enjoy them. If you go there, everything you do with them is going to be a negative experience. Think of a teammate, think about something you don't like, person, maybe even show. Maybe hate watch something, right? If you actually hate something, you put a negative attribution upon that experience or that interaction with that person, and that means that you care. But if you actually didn't care about something, or you didn't like something at all, it would be apathy. You wouldn't think about them. They wouldn't bother you. It's whatever. They exist? Okay, cool. They're not here? Okay, cool. Whatever. So the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. I just don't care about you. I'm not thinking about you. You mean nothing to me. If you actually get irritated or something by someone, they're under your skin because you care. For what reason? So stop caring, bro. Be apathetic. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking about like relationships too. Like when you may have this toxic relationship and they're going tit for tat. Oh, you're talking to this person, so I'm gonna talk to that person. And you can really shut someone down by like just saying like, bro, talk to everyone. I don't care. They get so pissed. Why don't you care? Because I just don't. Whatever. I'm glad. Go talk to them. Oh my God. How can they be so mean? I'm not mean. You just mean nothing to me. And that's what's up. Meaning, players who no longer feel motivated to play ranked to achieve a better ranking have lost the subjective value attached to the better ranking. Yes, right here. Have lost the subjective value attached to better ranking. I don't care. I'm open to experience. My rank does not matter to me. And now, because I don't care about my rank, I can maybe care about some other things, like learning. Discuss their population here, right? This is for specific rank. Solo queue, I think another thing to talk about here is separating rank and solo queue play from like coordinated team play, because those are two different beasties. So right now we're just talking about your solo queue experience. For example, while the ranking system in League of Legends is highly competitive, it does not directly translate to monetary gains or even professional success in esports. That's a big claim. I don't fully agree with this. Because, I mean, technically, in-game currency is real. If you, like, cash it out and sell your account, you technically could. And some people smurf, and get money. So there are monetary gains for this. And, I mean, sometimes there is professional success in esports because people look and scout off the ladder. So I would disagree with this a little bit. I'd push back a little bit on this. Players, therefore, have a legitimate option to not invest effort and time into their skill with little further consequences. The same is not true for academic performance or professional esports. It's a claim. I don't agree with the claim, but I can see where it's coming from. Previous research context that usually concerns only cognitive skills, for example, in narrative comprehension. The same thing could also be related to the traditional sports. It's just traditional sports, instead of being more or gross body emphasized, it's more fine motor, but you're also still learning, One further feature that differentiates esports from the context to which Dunning-Kruger effect has been studied is the constant presence of performance feedback. I really wonder how they say, like, the feedback. In what context are you getting the feedback? Like, in all chat? In the ELO system? In honor system? Because, I mean, if you're getting feedback from players like, wow, man, you're smurfing, you should be at least a challenger, and you're not, and then you, like, aren't challenger level, but you feel like you should be challenger level, or is the feedback only in the wins and losses and LP gains and losses? I don't know. I wish they would have related this and give me an example of what kind of feedback they're talking about. Dunning-Kruger effect. The initial explanation of why the Dunning-Kruger effect exists is the idea that ignorance is often invisible to the person experiencing it. Facts, bro. Facts. Wow, this is only in 2011? Wow. I feel like the Dunning-Kruger effect was like before that. Am I tripping balls? Known knowns are information that people are aware they have. Declarative, right? Declarative memory. On the other hand, unknown knowns refer to relevant information that people are unaware they lack. Yes, sir. You know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. Facts. It is therefore likely that people are not aware of their ignorance. This is referred to as the metacognitive paradigm. An example of this that we had recently that I was working with a team was they were talking about a play that happened and why that play went wrong. But then another player on the team was like, okay, why are we talking about a suboptimal play? Because we're talking about this fight. And they said this fight should never had happened because where this fight took place was not optimal. And instead, if you see this, look at bot lane. And they panned onto bot lane. We should be diving here. And everyone's like, oh, they didn't know. They didn't know that that was a suboptimal play. And instead, they made the play that they thought was optimal. And because of that, they were just talking about this nuances of this team fight versus they didn't even need a team fight here. They instead split the map, play macro, and dive bot and gain a lot more. So that's an example of you don't know what you don't know until someone shows it to you. Lower skilled performers experience difficulty in judging their own performance. First, lower skilled performers' defects in experience cause them to make mistakes. Yes, the same deficits make them unaware of their mistakes and of the correct choices made by other performers. As such, lower skilled performers assume that they were inadequately skilled or knowledgeable with the task when this was not true. They therefore not only exhibit defects in their performance, but also in the evaluation of their performance. Yeah, makes sense to me. It's a problem. You don't know what's wrong, and you don't see it. Well, I mean, I wonder if that's like a chicken and egg. You don't see it, so you don't know what's wrong. You don't know what's wrong, so you don't see it. I'm guessing one hand feeds the other. This is because the act of performing and evaluating are reliant on the same skills and knowledge. Yes, that's what I said. They feed each other. For example, to judge whether someone has correctly read a sentence out loud, a person must be knowledgeable in both reading and pronunciation. Sorry, I'm doing my best. Reading out loud is hard. A body of evidence has been accumulated on situations where people are unaware of the gaps or limitations of their knowledge. That's why I think it's really important always to be open to criticism and feedback of other people, because maybe sometimes your friends or your coaches or your teammates see something that you don't, and instead of getting defensive and be like, oh, no, I don't, that's not correct. I think it's always important to understand what this person's trying to tell you and not let your ego or your perceived intentions that they're trying to push upon you and how it's affecting you. So always being open and listening to the feedback and then listening to it, not only listen to it, but listen to it critically and openly and not defensively, I think is always really important. As described above, the Dunning-Kruger effect has been explained through metacognitive abilities, but the overestimation of skill is also present in the motor skilled context. I mean, there's another, I don't know, a study or a fact or a TikTok that I saw that a lot of dudes feel like they could fight or something or highly overestimate their skill to do something where there's no way they could do it. I mean, for example, how many people play League or like whatever and say, oh, I could totally do that. I wouldn't have died there. And it's like, you totally would have died there, sir. Where the judgment of motor skill remains within the cognitive domain, but the skill itself lies in the motor domain. So an example of this is like if you played basketball or you're old, right, and your competitive days are behind you. It's, for example, like you understand in your head how to dribble a ball or how to do a crossover or behind the back between the legs or whatever and shoot. You conceptually understand that, but when you go and try to duplicate the skill and you can't, you're like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. It's like, no, you have the knowledge of it. You just haven't practiced that skill so you can do the skill, but you understand how the skill is supposed to feel and what you're supposed to do. Because I think the understanding and the execution, there's always a gap between those two things. You know what I mean? I could totally do that, bro. I wouldn't have flashed into the wall. Another reason why people might overestimate their skill, which Dunning also noted, is that rather than accepting feedback, they find reason to dismiss it. Damn, that's some powerful stuff. Rather than accepting it, they find reasons to dismiss it. Defensiveness. That's what we're talking about when people get defensiveness. So I guess I'll draw a wall here. Or defense. That's a fence. This is a fence. You see it? Defensive. I was telling my mom I should have been an artist, bro. She didn't believe me. She said I couldn't draw good enough. I guess I showed you, Mom. These motivated reasons are primarily understood as perspective of a person's self-worth. Yas. That's why people get defensive. They feel like they're attacking them, their thoughts and who they are versus like the idea and their execution. I'm not attacking you. I'm discussing the mindset or the thought behind what's happening, not what you did. Previous research has found that explanations are less biased when people are motivated to be accurate in their explanations. But I mean, How many people are motivated to be accurate in explanations? Or I wonder if it's like, is it accuracy, or I wonder if it's being right. I wonder what the difference between being accurate in the explanations and just being right. I'm right, you're wrong. Let's do that play next time. For example, subjects motivated to be accurate have shown less of a primacy effect in expression formation, less of a tendency to use ethnic stereotypes in their evaluations of essay quality, and less anchoring when making probability judgments. I would say maybe another word for this is they're more open to experience, because they're not using prejudgments or judging. They're just seeing and perceiving and experiencing what's in front of them without value judgments or beliefs. But rather that people who are motivated to arrive at a particular conclusion attempt to be rational and to construct a justification of their desired conclusion. That would be persuasive. So they get stuck. What's that thing? Confirmation bias kind of rings true here in my head. You have a belief, you have something in your head, and now you're trying to justify or find pieces of evidence to support the conclusion that you already have. Maybe that's what it is here. People are motivated to arrive at a particular conclusion, attempt to be rational, and construct a justification of the desired conclusion that would be persuasive. So, confirmation bias, I believe. That kind of feels like that to me. That's me. Indeed, people appear to draw the desired conclusion only if they can find enough evidence to support that conclusion. I mean, not always. Some people are, I just feel this way. That's another one. I just feel like this was correct. I feel like this was wrong. And then sometimes when you can't explain a feeling, that's kind of rough, right? How do you fight a feeling? So, I mean, not always true, because that's what people say. I felt like this was correct. I feel like this is incorrect. This felt weird. This felt right or weird to me. They may also creatively combine acute accessed knowledge to construct new beliefs that could logically support it. So they do mental gymnastics. For a novel research context, such as amateur esports, it would be of interest to understand what reasoning for explaining failure are deemed rational enough and assessed to generate a justification. Interesting. Confirmation bias to result of game. And this happens all the time. For example, sometimes people get really superstitious. They eat a meal and they win. They're like, I have to always eat hamburger steak before I play because I won the championship eating hamburger steak. And as soon as they lose, like, I can never eat hamburger steak ever again because I lose eating hamburger steak. It's perhaps misinterpretations or misattributions in these types of cognitive fallacies or errors that people make. Interesting. Few external influences presents an opportunity to investigate why players would continue investing or reducing their effort. Because I want to, I don't want to. It feels bad, it feels good. That'd be my conclusion. Different theories have been developed to predict human behavior based on basic psychological needs, wants, and have-tos. Musts, exactly. Musts, whatever, however you want to describe it. You know what I mean? Self-determination theory. STD. SDT. Lol, my bad. SDT versus STD. They're very, two different things. The theory of basic psychological needs and the theory of organismic integration. I'm gonna mess this word up. Organismic integration. Words. The fulfillment of needs is subsequently rewarded with positive feelings. I think you could use these two terms interchangeably, needs and values, because not only does someone need this, but they value it, and because you value it and it gets fulfilled, you have positive feelings. Or if you get your needs fulfilled, it feels good. For example, just even think of the basic needs of like eating, or getting food, or sleeping. Those things feel good at the end of the day, you know what I mean? So, makes sense. In the context of video games, this positive feeling is conceptualized as enjoyment. Yes, sir. Should a player become disinterested in playing a game, this might be because it is not either satisfying basic needs or even frustrating a player's basic needs. Yeah, their values are getting squished on, or their needs are getting denied. That makes sense. Is it relatedness in this case the relatedness to the rank? Is autonomy like being able to do what you want to do, and the competence is like feeling that you know what you're doing in that game? That's how maybe I would translate that. The second mini theory of SDT that we use to understand amateur players of esports is organismic. I'll get it. I'm going to do it. Internally motivated action brings enjoyment and fully align with the core of the self. Less internalized motives might be aligned with the perceived identities of a person feels they must fulfill. Must. Interesting word. Must fulfill. Identities. Perceived identities. Again, this word. Perceived. Even more, externalized motives might fully originate from the expectations of other people. Major. Intrinsic motivation does help, but only in the case of non-competitive game modes. That is. I wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. With regard to PX measures, player experience, players reported stronger experience of frustration when playing mobile games compared to when playing other games. I can see that. I mean, you're locked in for like 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. It's a huge time commitment too. The theory of need achievement motivation functions to explain why of motivation, postulating that people desire achievement to be seen as valued by a society we live in. Okay, so people like achievement, or it's a societally based theory, and it seems this to be an external question mark, because it's by society. In contrast, attribution theory explains the how. It explains the mechanistic relationship between the perceived cause of an event by an individual and the subsequent emotional experience which shapes future behavior. I like that. Mechanism between the perceived cause and what we're going to do. I'm guessing, though, that means like, oh, if we feel like this thing is fair and just, we'll probably continue playing. But if we feel like something is unfair and that we're getting taken advantage of, we probably won't, because the emotional experience might color it differently. That's interesting. Little star right there. Little star. Since the development of this theory, researchers have found empirical evidence that analyzing post hoc causal explanations for both successful and unsuccessful outcomes in a person's life was predictive of their emotional reaction and future motivation. This kind of makes me think this emotional component of motivation and continuing to do what you want to do, this makes me think about stoicism. And why this makes me think about stoicism is because what happens if you try to just remove the emotions out? If you did, possibly affect the future motivation of that thing because of the emotional label or attachment that you put onto that action, or the positive feelings you get from accomplishing that action. In that sense, I wonder the most important thing being the locus of causality and stability of an attribution. So how stable and what's the cause? Whether the locus of causality is viewed as internal or external, I think they're saying the same thing, causality and control. However, when the attribution external, a person would experience anger and resentment directed to the external locus of causality. That makes sense. If it's internal, oh man, I feel so bad. I wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I want a do-over. Oh my God, I feel so embarrassed that I let everybody down. Versus if it's external, oh my God, that's so bullshit. The ping. I can't believe they griefed me. Those freaking trolls. Anger. I mean, that makes sense. So external, anger. Internal, guilt and shame. Here's another interesting thing, though, if you think about it, right? Especially with dudes, or men, or people in general. We're talking like stereotypical society. What emotions are socially appropriate for dudes or stereotypical males to express? I'm an advocate that males and everyone, females, males, people, whoever, are entitled to their experience and should be able to experience and express the full range of emotions, because that's what makes you human. But that being said, like when you think about stereotypical strong male culture, alpha male culture, like what are the emotions that they're allowed to share? Happy? Angry? Being a dick? I don't know. But it's happy and angry. Those are like the stereotypical emotions that alpha males show, right? We're strong males. We make jokes and are happy and good times, but then anger, strong, Even from that perspective, that social culture perspective, perhaps it's even encouraged to be angry externally about the other people, other things, instead of looking inside and maybe feeling sad and guilty about what we could have done better. It's more normalized. Perhaps it's easier to experience versus actually looking inside and saying, man, I can take responsibility for these things. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take. Stability is a further dimension with two poles, stable and unstable. I'm on the unstable pole. When attributions are stable, people do not expect to be able to change their future performance. In turn, when attributions are unstable, people feel that there's a possibility for a change in performance. So, if this is true, it's important to check what you think is stable and unstable. For example, your intelligence at the game, or your skills in the game, or your ability to improve, is that stable or is that unstable? And then, is this one bad, unlucky game, is that stable or is that unstable? And then if you think, oh, I'm always forever going to be shitty, then that's a stable attribution, then I don't think learning and growth mindset will apply to you. But if you think that, oh, this is a one-off, I can get better, and the attribution of those types of things are unstable, perhaps your growth mindset or your ability to grow and learn and be cognitively flexible would be better. The takeaway there from this stable, unstable thing is to check what attributes you believe are stable in yourself and then what are unstable either internally or externally. Optimistic attributional styles, let's define this, are biased towards internal and often stable attributions for success and external, often unstable attributions for failure. So it's because of me that I succeeded, and it's because of outside I failed. Okay, so if it's stable, right, towards internal, so it's because of me that this is stable, that I caused the things to succeed consistently. And if I fail, it's because of the variability of outside things that aren't permanent. Pessimistic attribution styles are the opposite, tending towards external, often unstable attributions for success, and internal, often stable attributions for failures. Oh, so I was able to do this because I got lucky. This was random. I don't know how I got here. I think if you use pessimistic, you know what this sounds like? This is sounding like imposter syndrome. That's what this is sounding like. This sounds like the recipe. Pessimistic attributional style sounds like the recipe for imposter syndrome. And why I say that is because if you fall into this pessimistic attribution style, I'm guessing like you don't know why you got the things that you got. It was all lucky. It was just this so random. And because of that, I often fail. I believe that this is at the heart of imposter syndrome. In this case, rather than a stable innate ability, effort and decision making are seen as the primary explanations for why someone was successful or not. So instead of goodness or badness, I guess they're leaning more on skills in your way to figure things out. These so-called effort attributions were also found to be correlated with greater intrinsic enjoyment. Because this is skills. This is so interesting. This is like growth mindset. This is skill-based. This is not an intrinsic or thing that you have or not. This is I'm focused on my skills of decision-making and effort. These are skills. And so if I have a stable reliance on my skills, that I did this because of my skills or whatever, then that's what caused the outcome. Versus I have it or I don't. They're talking growth. This is another way to put growth mindset. That's exactly what it is. It's a skill-based perspective. Furthermore, players who attribute realistically also should show less overestimation of their skill, as they are motivated to be accurate in their own assessment. Because it's not a value-based judgment, it's a skill-based judgment. Or they have the skills or ability to learn the thing to continue to grow. That's where I think they're going with that. That's what I think. The more recent study investigated the influence of attributions in the context of assistive technologies. It found that players who performed better attributed their performance more internally than externally. So it wasn't the controller or whatever, maybe, or the thing that they're using, but it was their ability in general. Lower skilled players to overestimate themselves and continue to believe in ELO Hell. But here's the thing. Even if they continue to believe in it, my question off of this is, how would you provide someone with evidence to show them that ELO Hell is just in their perception, and all they need to do is change their perception or mindset to get out of ELO Hell, which basically is the belief that by believing in the stability or the internal stability thing of I can figure this out or apply more effort and time to this thing, I'll get better, versus like I have it or I don't or whatever. I'm wondering if it's that piece of the perception that we need to change so we can get you out of ELO Hell. That's what I'm thinking. We believe one possible reason why the overestimation of skill persists despite objective feedback is because the feedback is internally dismissed, with motivated reasonings. I think we call this ego protection. That's what I'm hearing here. Ego protection. While people who attribute their failure optimistically should therefore overestimate their skill more than players who give a realistic or pessimistic reason for the future. And the interesting thing about this too, the other way of studies have shown that people who are more depressed or have depression have a more realistic evaluation of reality than people who show an overly optimistic view of the world. And I thought that was hilarious, but that's like another parallel study here, is that they think that if you are too optimistic, then you aren't able to actually see everything, and that's why taking a more realistic or pessimistic reason for their failure. It was because of me. The pessimistic one is, it's my fault, I was bad. And if you take that perspective, you're able to think about what you want to do into the future or how to get better. And that's the same thing with the realistic part too, is like, I have the skills to figure out what comes my way, thus I failed, so I can figure it out. Versus the optimistic one is kind of like, it was just some random thing, it was unlucky, it was not my fault, or whatever, so that may deter you from progressing. Interesting. Next, the participants rated their game experience using various measures described in the measures section and provided the rank they thought they could have achieved. Yeah, I'm in iron, but I got the challenger mindset, bro. Like, that's where I should be. It's just like all these noobs holding me back, bro. Participants. The study was promoted on the League of Legends subpage of Reddit. Interesting. Honestly, if you want to take a study too, I'm also holding a study. So you can help me in my endeavors of conducting the study. And if you want to do my study, it's under experience in my Discord. Honestly, getting 348 people to fill this thing out for free. There was no like mentions of gift cards, of reward, of like RP or like Blue Essence or anything, bro. That's pretty good for free, bro. Yeah, that's like the average normal distribution. It's true. Even though y'all might not say so, Diamond is technically high elo. Even Masters is high elo. Anything above Gold. The subjective estimation of skills of players then compared to the skills players' highest rank achieved during this last season. The difference between those two ranks would then be defined as the degree of overestimation by the participant. I wonder if people actually underestimated themselves too. We'll see. I'm interested. Rather than relying on subjective estimation, the potential of errors are further reduced. Okay, so what'd you say? And then they had the researchers go look it up. Oh, okay, so you think you could hit Challenger? Okay. Silver to Challenger? Question mark. With this data, both the total amount of games played and win rate were calculated. So they also did win rates. And then they analyzed them. Can I skip this? I'm going to skip this. I just want to go to the discussion after this. In the comparison, we found that players who did not overestimate themselves were on average of higher rank than those who didn't. Okay. Dunning-Kruger effect? Caused its ELO Hell? Motivated reasoning has thus also been used to explain the persistence of overestimation even when feedback is given, as it allows for participants to miss the feedback. Just because someone said something doesn't mean that you listen to the feedback, I think is key here. We have therefore provided evidence that even when lower skilled players are aware of the rank, they still overestimate themselves more than their higher skilled counterparts. Denial's not just a river in Egypt. No, bro, but usually I do more damage. My teammates grieve me. That's why I had to do this. Denial. The facts are in their face and like, nah, I don't think so. That's not why. Motivated reasoning has thus also been used to explain the persistence of overestimation, could investigate how attributions to strangers in team manager sports could foster hostility, given that they might correlate with hostile attribution styles as observed in organizational psychology with regard to management. So I guess that the people you play with also affects these types of things, which is really interesting. Interestingly, only few players blame the game. That's funny. Only a few people blame the game? This is bullshit. Thanks, Riot, for a shitty game. Players who attributed pessimistically and realistically overestimated themselves less than those who attributed optimistically. That makes sense. Because again, the reason why this probably happened is because with pessimistic and realistic, the focus is not on, I failed because of randomness. It's like, oh, it's my fault. And if you think there's part of you that's responsibility for the outcome, then we can focus on the part of you to make the outcome different because it's in your control versus, I was unlucky, I wasn't supposed to lose, whatever, let's just go next. The thought of how can I get better is still there versus attributing the loss to something external. When players explain why they did not achieve the rank which corresponds to their skill level, they would name reasons such as bad teammates or bad luck. Again, that's something that's not in their control. These are attributions that most clearly relate to the casual explanation described by ELO Hell. As in both instances, the reason for failure to achieve is neither the player's skill nor effort. Again, it's something outside my control. It was something random that caused me to get this, which is ELO Hell. Things just happen. I wonder if people in this sense then, for ELO Hell, is ELO Hell something that people just arrive in? Or do they attribute that to their sins or behaviors or thoughts that cause them to go to ELO Hell? You know, like, oh, I just arrived in hell. Ta-da! Versus like, oh, okay, I can see that maybe I shouldn't have murdered that person. Or maybe I shouldn't have done that or said those things to these people, thus I'm in burning in hell. Optimistic attributions could result in players experience less shame and failure, but it does not motivate them to invest more effort into the achievement. As from their perspective, it is not the primary contributor to success. Bro, this, wow. Oh, this is so strong. And why I say this is so strong is because positive emotions like winning or whatever, it's great for the mental. If you win a game, you feel great, you feel amazing, but how often do you go back and watch the games that you won for the purpose of learning? My guess is probably not often, maybe never. And the reason for that is winning is great for the feels and the mental, but it's not great for learning. Or on the other hand, losing is terrible for the mental. It feels so bad emotionally, but it's where you learn the most. The thing that we talked about earlier was the attribution theory or whatever, or how when you have a positive experience and have a positive attribution towards something, you're more likely to repeat that thing or do the thing. But instead, what happens is you forget in that negative attribution when it feels bad, you probably won't do that thing again. But in this paradox, you really need to, maybe in the learning process, focus less on the emotions and the feelings of losing, and perhaps turn on the cognitive part of you to think about how I can soak this lesson out of this thing so I can learn more, or create a system, or look for the cues and the behaviors so I can do the things I want. Emotions, in conclusion, emotions are great for the mental, bad for learning. Winning is great for the emotions, bad for learning. Losing is bad for the mental, but great for the learning. Therefore, the reason is motivated by shame avoidance. Massive. Motivated by shame avoidance rather than achieving future success. Yes, sir, blessa. I totally agree. And again, this goes back to ego protection. This could explain why lower skilled players hold on to the idea of ELO Hell, as it gives a theory for their failure without increasing feelings of shame. That makes sense. It's kind of like, well, people have been here before, and we all can copium together that it's not us. We're not the problem. It's everybody else. It's y'all. It's those stupid griefers in my game. That's the problem. It's not me. And if I say it's not me, then I'm not going to look at my gameplay. I'm not going to review my VODs. I'm not going to think about the things I could do differently. It's not me. I'm not the problem. It's everybody else. But I think Taylor Swift also has a really good, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. If we take on that perspective, which is, I mean, quoting the queen herself, maybe not queen, princess, Miss Swift. If we quote Miss Swift, then I believe that song would be taking more of a pessimistic / realistic attribution perspective than an optimistic one. And by doing so, perhaps she can do better? I don't know. She's crushing it right now. I'm jealous. I wish I had that. Billions, man. They search through their memory to find instances that support their biased beliefs, such as teammates' poor performance, which can solidify their own biased beliefs that other players are worse than them and responsible for their failures. All right. So again, this goes back to confirmation bias, right? I'm looking for other pieces of evidence to confirm that it's not me, but I'm looking for through these plays, I'm looking through the stats, and I can clearly see that this person's not doing enough damage, they died too much, or it was them that lost that team fight, and that's why we lost that game. This is because when creating justifications for outcomes, people use a biased memory search that can lead to the formation of additional beliefs to support their motivated reasoning. Something that's really important here to discuss is not the guilt and shame process, because I think the confirmation bias thing, the ego protection thing, this comes from the overemphasis in the feelings that it's me, I'm the problem, it's bad, I'm terrible. And if people believe that, then they get really depressed. So perhaps instead of falling victim to the feelings, perhaps it's taking a more objective perspective of, okay, I did lose, that happened, let's not get stuck in the past, let's look at it with fresh eyes to look at the mistakes I made so I can improve to the future, versus forever I suck, it's my fault, oh my god, it's so terrible. Okay, that may be true in this one instance. At the same time, if we take that perspective, we're not learning. And what esports is, it's about learning, it's about becoming cognitively flexible, it's about all those things. So instead of managing the negative, self-blaming, guilt, shame, terribleness that we feel, how can we focus on the behaviors that are going to get us more wins in the future? That's the key. I did not plan to read for 2 hours, so my throat's a little scratchy, but we got this. We're going to finish this together. We also found statements by players that they had lost interest in ranked play after experience of frustration of needs. When your needs aren't being met, I don't like play. Makes sense to me. Finding could indicate that players who had achieved their believed rank were more motivated by achieving than enjoyment. But future research is necessary to provide stronger evidence. Okay, so basically, instead of playing for fun, I'm thinking what they're saying is that if people actually hit the thing that they wanted to hit, then they would be more motivated by the achievement of something versus the enjoyment of achieving that thing, which is kind of interesting. Makes sense, because I mean, how many players out there, if you're that player, when you hit that rank, you're like, okay, I'm done. I've achieved Challenger. That was my goal. The end. Or hit Masters. Okay, that's cool. The end. I'm wondering how often that happens, or if you're that type of player. We found a group of players who played for enjoyment, not achievement, who sought to connect with their friends or to play a variety of champions to keep the game entertaining for them. These players overestimated their skills in comparison to their real rank, and so were categorized as non-achievers. But as described above, they also experienced more enjoyment. It's interesting. I guess this also makes me think, what are you playing for? because they're talking about satisfaction and enjoyment. I think it's also really important when I talk with players and they're like, oh, I'm just not motivated. The first question I asked them was like, what are you playing for? Like, what do you mean? Well, I was like, are you playing for the boys? You playing for your legacy? You're playing for money? You're playing for notoriety? You're playing for fun? What are you playing for? This also connects them deeper to themselves or their own value set of the purpose of things. Oftentimes, if the purpose isn't deep enough, or if the purpose moved or the why has shifted and the player has become disconnected into it, that's probably the first thing that goes as motivation. So oftentimes players are like, Ryan, can you talk with me? I'm losing motivation for the game. That's where I start. Like, I'm sorry, I can't give you motivation for the game. Like, I can't make you want to play. I can't make you want this. I wish I could. I'm thinking about relationships, but I can't make you love me. You just have to want to love me. I can't make that happen. The question is, why? Why do you want to play? Why do you want to hit this rank? What would hitting this rank mean to you? Or achieving this thing in game? What would it mean to you? How would it change your life? It's these questions that are more interesting because that elicit those types of responses. And I mean, there's a whole type of interviewing, motivational interviewing, that kind of elicits these things from people when they start to lose motivation or whatever. It's really interesting. But in conclusion, what is really interesting about this thing is, one, I think if you're in ELO Hell, it's a perceptional issue or challenge. And what I mean by that is the main cause, what this article is saying, is that you are perceiving that you don't belong here. And the reason you don't belong here is because other people or external factors, not so much the game, but just people on the team, are holding you here, holding you hostage. And so if you find yourself in ELO Hell, what this article is saying to help you get out is understanding that instead of perhaps protecting your ego by saying, I'm in ELO Hell, this is just something that happens, everyone's a griefers, something that's going to be very important for you is, what are the things that you are going to change, like your mindset, or whatever you focus on, or even like in-game skills or mechanics or concepts that you need to master, be consistent in, think about to help you change your behavior or what you do in game, maybe your impulsivity, maybe your distractibility, your emotions or whatever, so you can get out of there. This article also highlights that higher ELO players, higher skilled players, I'm not sure if it also said they have a better, more accurate perception of themselves, but what they do tend to do is understand that there's things that they can do to climb or to get out. And the other thing that's really interesting from this article was the optimistic, realistic, or pessimistic attribution of things. And if you're like, the optimistic one is, if I think that the good things are because of me and they're stable and they're internal, versus the reasons that bad things happen or I lose is they're outside of me and they're unstable. Luck, the game, glitches, whatever. I was just feeling it today. Where that is really good for the emotions, where it's like, yeah, I did good and this is because of me, but if I lost, it's unlucky. Even good for the emotions, but it may not be good for your improvement because it prevents you from finding the things that you can change or influence to continue to keep growing. And the pessimistic one, if you have a pessimistic attribution, whatever, that the reason you lost or bad things are stable things in your control. And if you win, there are randomness, luck, or whatever on your side helping you win. I mean, I think if you took that perspective, that seems to be the recipe for imposter syndrome. Because, oh my gosh, people don't know how actually terrible and what I don't actually know, but I keep getting these awards, recognition for the job that I'm doing. I'm an imposter. But at the same time, interestingly, for this ELO Hell thing, those players are more able to think about or guess or gauge their actual level because what they're seeing is in their control. And I feel like the realistic appraisal or attributions is kind of a cop-out because I feel like they're just saying, internally, I believe that it's the effort and the, what is it they said, the effort and the growth or whatever. I relate to growth mindset, right? It's a skill-based, effort-based thing. I know that maybe it is because of me, but it's because that I have full faith and trust that I can work hard and put effort into this, and if I put time into this, I can grow the skill. And that's in my control versus my sense of goodness or badness. It's all in your head. It's your perception of yourself and your skills, and the ego protection or the guilt and shame that prevents people from doing the things they need to do. And I think the other funny thing, ELO Hell is the place of cope. It's not me, it's everybody else. I think the TLDR is hell is what you make it. I guess that's it. hell is what you make it. And you have more power and control than you think in your brain and how you see things. And oftentimes it seems like what this article is pointing at is it's not the mechanics. It's what you see and you perceive that affects your behavior. So if you want to get out of it, fix your mind, and then you'll fix your elo. That's where we'll leave it. All right, my friends. Well, what an article. What a read. That was so much fun. So if you enjoyed this, please check out my other things that I got on my YouTube channel or on my website, psychsensei.com. Or if you want to work on your own mindset to get yourself out of ELO hell, visit my website, psychsensei.com. There, you can fill out a free consultation form, and you and I can sit down and figure out what's going on. Where's the mindset that you got stuck on, and how can we dig yourself out of this place? All it is, my friends, is a simple mindset change. And that's where we can start. Visit my website, psychsensei.com. Find my YouTube, my Instagram, The PsychSensei. Follow me there too. Never miss anything. All right, friends. Well, you guys take it easy. I'm all read out. Have a good day. Mwah! Love you. Bye!